Welcome to this episode of the podcast. I'm really excited about this one. I think I'm a little bit overexcited because I feel a little bit nervous. So I'm just going to try and take it back just a notch. Okay, so we are starting episode 5. Not episode 5. See, overexcited, words went wrong. This is season 5. And this is a special episode that is called Getting Tough. And it's completely different to what I've done before. So I've got a guest joining me today and I'm really excited about that. I've got some notes here, which is why I'm looking down because I don't want to miss anything. I want to make sure I give you all the information properly. If you're listening to this podcast as an audio, I'm looking down. I'm recording it for YouTube as well. So that's why I'm saying I'm looking. They can see me looking. Okay, so let's breathe, relax, and let's start. So my guest today normally can be found on Instagram sharing about his reptiles or hosting his own podcast, which is called Rept Chat, or talking about Tough Mudder. And that's why he's joining me today. So we're going to be discussing Tough Mudder. And we're going to do this a few times in the coming months. My guest is also a Tough Mudder ambassador and he is my eldest son. So I know that we're going to have loads of fun chatting together. So let's welcome Ben onto our chat. Pressing the buttons, the magic work. Hi, Ben.
Hello, you all right? Thank you for having me on.
Oh, you're very welcome. Let me just adjust this slightly so I can hear you. Okay. So thank you very much for joining us. I'm very excited. I like your setup. I think we can.
This is my makeshift studio that I threw together 5 minutes ago.
It looks fab. And we can see that Tough Mudder is everywhere. So that's good. So I was just telling everybody this is our first one that we're doing together. But over the next 5 months, we're going to catch up with each other and keep chatting as I transition through this period of approaching my first ever Tough Mudder.
Yep.
So can you just explain for everybody who's never come across Tough Mudder what exactly it's all about?
So Tough Mudder is, at the moment, it is a 5K, a 10K and a 15K obstacle course race. As of 2024, it will be a 10 plus mile only. But for the sake of our conversation today, you're going to be doing the 15K Tough Mudder, so that's what we're going to talk about. So it's 15 kilometers-ish. They like to push the distance out a little bit more, but it's sold as a 15K. It's an obstacle course race, so there are between 25 and 35 obstacles per race, depending on the course that you're running on.
Yeah.
And these obstacles can consist of something as simple as giving someone a piggyback across some muddy terrain to extremes like plunging yourself into freezing cold water, being electrocuted, climbing 40 foot over cargo nets. It is really designed to test not only physical strength, but mental fortitude, I would say, as well. And they're also really, really addictive, as you can probably tell.
Yeah, I'm really pleased you said that it was more than just physical strength, because that was one of the notes that I wrote down. So one of the reasons that we're chatting today is because my training is just about to start on Monday, because when I do the Tough Mudder in September, I want to make sure that I'm strong enough to do it so that I don't have to worry about the strength and I can worry about all of the other things, because actually the mental mindset challenges are way, way more about that's going to challenge me so much more than anything else.
Yeah, I agree. I think definitely the mental tests are much more difficult than the physical tests, which we'll go into, I'm sure. I don't want to go too much into it straight away.
Yeah, absolutely. So you said that they're addictive. So come on, I'm going to be doing my first one in September. When you join me in September, how many will you be on?
So I'm not 100% sure yet, because there might be an extra event, but at the moment, the event we do together in September will be my 10th full distance Tough Mudder. So I have done other distances as well. So they have done in the past, a 5K, a half, a city event, all of which I've done. But the Legionnaire status, which is where you get your like ×2, ×3 headbands, is classed as the full event. So it will be my 10th full event on the day in September that we do it. It might be my 11th because there is one that I'm thinking about doing in August, but I'm not sure yet.
Okay, that's amazing. So if you do the extra one in August, how many will you have done this year?
6 in September.
That's good. So definitely
Yeah.
addictive.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I'm doing Midlands next month, and I'm doing that back to back. So I'm doing a 15K on the Saturday, volunteering overnight, and then doing a 15K on the Sunday as well. And then I've got to try and drive home without falling asleep or crashing the car.
Yeah, please don't do that. That wouldn't be good. Yeah, and so that's a really good point as well. So Tough Mudder is definitely about community, as far as I can see from when we listen to you talking about what you do and the things that I follow now, because I'm going to be part of it. Community is huge. So we also will be volunteering the day before we run. How important is the community aspect?
I think without the community aspect, you wouldn't make it around the course. Sure, there are some athletes that are incredibly talented and they can do everything on their own. But for the 99% of us that like to go for a run or do a bit here and there, or even people that don't do it, it is impossible to get around the course without making friends. And whether you start on your own or you start with a team, it doesn't matter because by the end of the event or by the end of the race, I don't like to call it a race because it isn't competitive, but by the end of the Tough Mudder, you will have made friends, which is my favourite part of the entire experience, to be honest. Not only will you have made friends, you'll be absolutely caked in mud and you will have been touched in places that you didn't know you could be touched in.
Sounds like it could be interesting, doesn't it?
It
Okay,
doesn't,
so
yeah, that's how much put it.
but I think that's really exciting. So I'm going to be doing my first one. You're going to be on your 10th one, but we still can go round together.
Yep,
Your challenges will be different to my challenges, and I will be able to help you as much as you can help me, even though it's only my first one. So that's
most definitely.
amazing. I love that. I love that. So I guess we have to touch on how I managed to get myself into doing this, because for anybody that follows me on Instagram or anyone that has listened to my podcast previous to this one will know that I am not someone that really trails through mud. I don't really do loads of running. I like what I like. This is really out of my comfort zone.
You
So
don't like getting dirty either, to be honest, let's face it.
no, I don't. I don't, which is also going to be a big challenge for me because I've got to have to get muddy. Um, so if we go all the way back to August, last year in August, I worked with an amazing confidence coach called Sarah Snape, who is on Instagram. And if you don't know her, I would highly recommend you go check her out. And part of that confidence course was to say yes to more things without thinking, without overthinking it or putting barriers in the way. So I knew obviously that Ben did Tough Mudders. We talked about them all the time. And so when he said, Mum, come on, let's sign up and do one together in September, I was like, yes, no problem. Probably the next day, I was like, oh my God, what did I just say yes for? So at the moment, I'm not scared, but I definitely am very nervous, which was another reason why we thought this podcast episode and ones to come would be a good idea, because there must be other people out there who feel exactly like I do. Like, why the hell did I just say yes to that? So, how did you start your first one, Ben?
So I was quite lucky. So my first Tough Mudder event was probably 10 minutes down the road from my house. And growing up, my best friend lived on a farm, which just so happened to be the venue for the Tough Mudder. And as a perk of him living on the farm, they got free tickets. And so I managed to tag along. So that was my first experience of Tough Mudder. Having probably done one or two park runs, I sort of said I'd do it. Didn't really think much of it until the day of the event. And then it was a case of, oh my God, I've signed up. I'm here. How the hell am I going to run 15 miles or 15K, or whatever it was? I'm not really sure what to expect. But like we were all in the same boat at the time. None of us had done it. And by the end of the event, I was like, oh my God, I need to do this all the time.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to be addicted to it straight away, but I'm definitely excited. I'm also excited that where you did your first Tough Mudder is exactly where we're going to be doing ours as well. So
Yeah.
that's really fun. Um, I also cannot run 15K. There's no way that I can do that, but I don't have to run it, do I?
No, luckily we are doing it with my wife as well, and she's got a really dodgy knee. She might as well not have a knee, let's face it. So we will be walking the whole course, which isn't a problem at all. There's no prizes for coming first. There's no prizes. Well, there are prizes for coming first, but they're the same prizes you get if you come last. It's not a
Yes.
timed event. The whole idea of the event is to get round the course and finish. Um, so yeah, we'll be walking the whole thing. We might do a light, gentle jog occasionally just to warm ourselves up a little bit when we're really cold. Um, but there is no pressure from anyone to run any of it at all. You can walk the whole event.
Yeah. So that's amazing. So that for me, that takes out one worry straight away is that I
Yeah,
know that I don't have to be fit enough. We definitely, as my training increases, I will be walking further so that I know that I can comfortably walk a 15K. I wouldn't say that I want to just rock up and having done nothing at all. So definitely a walking will be within my training.
yeah.
But knowing I don't have to run it takes a lot of pressure off. I think for me, there are there are probably 3 things that I most worry about. The first one is definitely the mud. I don't know how I'm
Yeah.
gonna cope being really muddy. That's
You'll
I
find you get to the first probably they normally set out the course. So within the first 2 to 3 obstacles, you haven't got a choice. Like, you will be crawling probably under barbed wire, through mud, whilst getting squirted by a hose pipe, and then you get out of that first obstacle, and your whole mindset changes from going, "Oh my god, I don't want to get muddy," to, "Oh well, I'm muddy now. Let's crack on." And then you just sort of embrace it, and by the end of it, you'll be like, you get to an obstacle called Mud Mile, possibly, which is like it's not actually a mile, but it's a good long distance where it's deliberately churned up and made really sloppy, and you'll be there doing like mud angels, or you'll be smearing mud on your face, like battle markings. Like, you embrace it pretty quickly, the mud.
Yeah, I will when we get to the end of it on the other side, we'll be able to come back and see how much of the mud I embraced. We'll definitely try and make sure that we get some
Well,
photographs.
hopefully our plan is that we'll do a few episodes, and then we'll do a recap after Tough Mudder,
Yeah.
probably the day after, and I can guarantee you'll have 3 or 4 showers, and you'll still be washing mud out of places.
I think it just flashed into my head then while you were describing it. I think I'm going to try and embrace that whole celebrity cyclone thing off of, the In the Jungle program
It
because
it is quite, yeah, it's like that, but less bubbles and more mud.
yes.
Like, just as enjoyable.
Absolutely. And yeah, and the other thing that I'm going to have a challenge with is heights because
Yeah.
any of you that know me, I really don't like heights. I'm much, much better now than I used to be, but that's something that I'm setting myself as a challenge. So, Ben, can you remind me what's the one called that's the really high one?
So the one that you're talking about is called Mudderhorn. Mudderhorn is a metal A-frame, like a scaffolding A-frame,
Yeah.
um, that's about 40 foot tall, and you have to first of all climb uh, like a sheet of plywood that's got no grip in it at all. So you need your friends to be able to get you up that first little obstacle. That's the start of it. Once you're above that piece of plywood, you have got a 40-foot climb on a cargo net that you can see through all the way to the bottom. You've got to go right up to the top of the cargo net, climb over the 40-foot peak whilst you can see for miles and how far down it is, and then make your way back down the other side. So for some people, that isn't that scary. If you're not scared of heights, it's not that bad. If you're scared of heights, that is terrifying.
Yeah.
I'm not particularly scared of heights, but even at the top, it makes my legs wobble.
Yeah, that this is one of the things. This is going to be a challenge for me. I'm determined to give it my best shot, but there's actually just listening to you describe it. There's going to be quite a few things for me to get over because first of all, I've got to get up that plywood bit with the no grip and asking for
Yeah,
people to help me. That would be my first challenge. The second one will be the fact that I can see the ground disappearing away from me the higher I get. The
yeah,
biggest one will be getting over the top. Like if I can get over it and someone can talk me down as I'm going down,
yeah.
I'll be a winner. But I mean, once I'm up, I've got to come down, I guess.
Well,
So
exactly. So yeah, it's doable. Like I said, there's no time limit on anything. So even if it takes an hour to get you up and over, the goal is to get you up and over.
yeah.
So we'll take each step as it comes. I'm really looking forward to it, to be honest.
Yeah, I am. I'm kind of excited and scared, all wrapped up in the. I keep changing. It keeps going
Yeah,
from
I
one to
think
the other.
that's what they go for because they want. If it was easy, it wouldn't be called Tough Mudder.
Exactly.
But it's not necessarily, like I said at the beginning, it's not always. Don't get me wrong, there are some physical elements to it, and there's some where to complete the obstacle you need to be like upper body strength or. But my favorite thing about Tough Mudder is there's no pressure. You don't have to complete the obstacle. So if you get to an obstacle and you go, "Oh my god, I can't do that," don't do it. Doesn't matter. There's no penalty for not doing it. What I would advise to everyone is if you're medically able to. So there are a few like the electroshock ones. If you've got metal in your body, you can't do them.
Yeah.
And there's one called Crybaby, which is like tear gas. And if you've got breathing problems, they recommend that you don't do it either. But providing you haven't got any health issues,
Yeah.
if it's scary, still have a go. Like even if you, or not even if it's scary, even if it's physically demanding, you don't think you can do it. For example, there's one called Funky Monkey, which is um, like monkey bars that go over probably like a swimming pool, but the swimming pool is brown and full of muddy water.
Yeah.
Um, And a lot of people can't do monkey bars, but instead of skipping it, maybe jump and touch the first one, or try and have a go and see how many monkey bars you can get. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be wet anyway, so you might as well drop in and go for a swim afterwards. But it's
Very true.
in my opinion, it's better to try and have a go at everything and fail than to walk around the obstacle, get to the end, and go, "Oh man, I wish I actually tried. I wish I gave that one a go." Because
Yeah.
once you're finished, you can't go back in.
Okay, yeah, that's very good advice. And also, I suppose if you do become addicted, like you say, if we use the monkey bar one as the example, if the first time you do it, you can only jump onto the first and hold the first one, but the next Tough Mudder you do, you manage to get to that second bar. That's a really good personal achievement, isn't it? So you can
Yeah,
always
exactly.
improve on your own performance.
No, that's spot on. And yeah, a Funky Monkey, I still haven't managed to finish it. It's I get like three quarters of the way and I end up going for a swim every time.
Yeah, and I guess because you're slippery as well, aren't you? So your hands are
Oh
slippery
yeah,
as well as the
yeah.
whole
No,
holding on.
normally it's raining as well, so the bars are even slippier and you're muddy. But that's half the fun of it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's all fun, and the swimming's just as fun as doing the monkey bars.
So is there one obstacle that is the most challenging for you, or the one that you're like, I really need to nail this one?
Um, So Funky Monkey is one specifically that I'd really like to be able to say I've done it. I've got close a couple of times, but I've never made it all the way across because it's like it's on an it's on an A frame, but quite a shallow A shape. So the monkey
Yeah.
bars go up, and then when you get to the peak, it changes from monkey bars to um, like metal sort of wheels, and the wheels spin. So you get from the
Okay.
monkey bars that are solid to the wheels that then spin, and you have to try and catch them as you sort of spin. And I always slip off those ones. So
Okay.
I'd like to finish Funky Monkey. The only other one that they had that I really wish that I had done was an obstacle called Walk the Plank, and it's not an obstacle that appears at every event. So sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. And it's a platform that's probably I don't know, 20 foot tall, maybe less than that. But you literally walk a plank, fall off the end of the plank into a big splash of water, and then you swim to the edge. Um, I've only seen it at one event, and I got to the bottom of the ladder. I climbed up the ladder. I looked at it, and then I climbed back down the ladder. I
Okay.
couldn't bring myself to do it. Since then I was I've had that in my mind. Like I wish I didn't do it. I know that I could have done the obstacle at the time. I wasn't a particularly strong swimmer, so it worried me. But I'd already been in like five other water obstacles, and I just got in my head too much.
Yeah.
And that one, if it comes back, I will definitely be doing it. And Arctic Enema as well. Arctic Enema is a mental obstacle as opposed to a physical obstacle. Um,
Okay.
Arctic Enema is a you slide down a tube. It's a bit like I don't know. You slide down a tube into
Yep.
a skip. The skip is full of ice cold water. We're talking
Oh goodness.
like they try and keep it as close to freezing as possible.
Yeah.
So it's mental because obviously you know how cold that water is going to be. So not only do you have to climb up to the top of the tube to slide down the tube, knowing that you're going into freezing cold water. Once you're in the freezing cold water, there's like a tire wall or like a wooden beam in the skip as well, which you then have to dip your head under to go like fully submerge yourself in the water again to get out on the other side.
Oh my
And
goodness.
yeah, not like that one comes with like quite a few challenges because it's a mental thing because you know it's freezing cold. It's a physical thing because again, you know it's freezing cold. And then once you're in the water, you have to physically make yourself submerge yourself again to go under to get out the obstacle. But I think that's also one of my favorite obstacles, which is really weird. I know a lot of people are like, "Well, you're mental," but it takes a lot of grit to get that one done, in my opinion, anyway. So I like
Yeah,
that one.
absolutely. Oh my
And then
goodness, that
obviously you've
does
got
sound
the
challenging.
electroshock obstacles as well, but they're a whole different kettle of fish.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen some of the pictures of those, and everyone says, "Oh, they don't hurt," but the pictures don't add up to what's saying the words coming out the mouth. All the pictures look like you're grimacing, like, that does
Oh
actually
yeah,
hurt
no,
a
they
little
hurt.
bit.
They hurt.
Oh, so who's the most inspiring person do you think that you've met so far on this journey of tough mudding?
Um, that's difficult to say actually. I've met a lot of people through Tough Mudder. Um,
Yeah,
so in what year are we in? 2023. So 2020, 2021. I was
yeah,
volunteering at Tough Mudder London South. The day before, so it was a pre-event, I believe. Or it might have been the Saturday. I can't remember. I met a chap called Ben Jessen, and he's a wheelchair user. He can walk on crutches, but he is predominantly a wheelchair user. I met him through volunteering, and the day after, I was part of a team of about 20 odd people that helped Ben get around the entire course in his wheelchair. We were on course for about 5.5 hours, and it was it was a hell of an experience. Let's put it that way. It was difficult, but it was very, very rewarding. So much so that we went back and did it again last year as well.
yeah,
So just all of the people in that sort of team, really. But I don't want to name names because I'll miss someone off and I'll feel bad. But
yeah.
they know who they are.
Well, that's amazing. That is amazing, isn't it? It just goes to show. And I know recently Tough Mudder were talking or sharing pictures of Mildred, who I can't remember how old
Yes.
she is now. Is she
I think
89?
she's
Was that
she's
right?
80 87, I think.
87. Yeah. So, yeah, if Mildred can do it, so can the rest of us, I think.
Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely.
So, I am upping my training personally for me. I want to get a bit stronger. My upper body strength is quite good, but I want it to get a bit more. Like I was saying, I don't want my strength to be a particular challenge on the day. I want to make sure that I'm fit and healthy. Um, but what advice would you give to somebody who is really sitting on the fence and listening to this today and like, oh, I don't know, like what advice would you give them? What do they need to be able to join, do you think?
Um, Physically, they need nothing. Just I always struggle with the commitment of whether it be a normal race, a triathlon, a Tough Mudder event. My biggest bit of advice would be book it. Just take the
Yeah.
plunge, book the event, and then you've paid for it. And once you've paid for it, you go, "Oh, I've paid for it. I best do something." Um,
Yes.
if you do want to book an event, I am an ambassador, so I have a discount code which we will chuck in the description, and I'll mention it at the end as well. But
Yep.
yeah, my biggest thing, if you're sat on the fence and you haven't booked the event, go on Tough Mudder's website and book it now. Rope your friends in, get them to book it too, um, and then that is you committed. From
Yeah.
then, you just need to. You can do nothing if you want. You can go to the pub every day and turn up hungover. Um, I wouldn't advise it. It's a struggle. What I would do is probably like you're doing. Get out for walks. Build up that like the stamina. You don't need to be the strongest person in the world. You need to be more mentally tough than physically tough.
Yep.
Um, yeah, there's not a lot really I wouldn't say you need anything. I'll tell you what you do need. You need a decent pair of shoes. If you've got,
Okay.
if you come to Tough Mudder in a pair of road running shoes, you're gonna spend more time on your backside than you do anywhere else because it's so slippy. So I'd advise half decent pair of trail running shoes. Even like the ones I'm running in were like 25 quid from Sports Direct, so they don't need to be anything flashy,
Yep.
but have some decent grip on the bottom. And then you need Not even a positive attitude. You need to be ready to get stuck in.
Yeah.
And so the way Tough Mudder starts, you start in waves. So you'll start they set up a new wave of people every 15 minutes. By the time you get into the warm up, you're with your group of 15 people. Well, you're with your group that are going to set off in the 15 minutes. There's normally about 100 people
Yep.
in that warm up. You won't know any of them, or you will if you know a couple of people that you're with. By the end of the warm up, you will have shouted in someone's face that you don't know, probably given them a muddy cuddle, and be running around on the floor with them, and that's just the warm up. And then when you get going, there's normally about, I think there's 8,000 people per day at Tough Mudder, and those other 7,999 people will carry you around the course. If you're struggling on an uphill, someone will run up next to you, say you're all right, and they'll walk next to you up the hill if you need to. If you need a hand getting over hero walls, which are 8-foot wooden walls, there'll be someone there saying, climb on my knee, climb on my shoulder. That's probably me, to be fair. I like climbing on people. I like it when I can help people get over. There's no point in the event where you'll be on your own. The only thing
Yep.
you need to do is beat your brain, because at points you'll be going, oh my God, I can't do anymore. Oh my God, I'm tired. Oh my God, I'm cold. Oh my God, I'm so muddy. And then you'll get around the corner and there'll be a food station and you get a flapjack and some energy drink, or there'll be an obstacle and you'll forget that you were whining 5 minutes ago because you've now got to plunge yourself in on water. So, yeah, no, apart from a decent pair of shoes and I don't know what the word is, like a positive getting stuck in sort of attitude, you don't need
Yes.
anything else.
Yeah. And I can try. That's what we need. I'm going to give it a go. I'm
Yeah,
going to
that's
try.
exactly it. Just an I can try, or I want to succeed attitude. It doesn't matter if you don't succeed at everything, but I want to give everything a good go.
Yeah,
I think that's the most
absolutely.
important thing.
Okay, that's really good. And anybody that's listening and is on the fence, if they've got any questions for Ben, or if they want to ask me any questions like via our Instagram accounts, absolutely you can. If you want to come and join us at the event that we're doing in September, I mean, that would be amazing. We can all say
Yeah, that'd
hi
be
and
cool.
get to know each other. Just let us know. But yeah, as I say, this is my first one, so we're gonna keep catching up with each other as we get closer. I imagine that I'm going to get nervous as I get closer, but that's okay.
Yep.
That's just because I care, and I will use that nervous excitement to get me around the course. But yeah, okay. So I think that's really cool. That's given us a really good start, Ben, hasn't it? Is there anything else that you want to add to today's podcast that we haven't covered?
No, I think we've covered everything for the beginning episode, and like you said, we'll come back. I don't know if we're doing how often we're coming back, but we'll be back a few times before the event.
Yeah, I
As we
think
get closer, we'll discuss your training a bit more, and then probably the week before the event, possibly, depending on how it works. Maybe
yeah,
we'll go through the map and discuss some of the obstacles.
yeah, that'd be good.
Maybe we could do that an episode before that. You can look at previous obstacles and we can talk about some of them and maybe some tips on how to get through them. And then
Yeah.
obviously right at the end, after Tough Mudder, we will do a debrief and we'll talk through the entire course, how you got on at every obstacle, and
Yeah.
your overall feelings, and then we'll see if you're going to book another one.
Yes, let's not jump ahead of ourselves. Let's get this
Well, I
one
tell
done
you what,
first.
you can do Tough Mudder in Malta now, and it's a lot warmer over there. So maybe we'll do a Tough Mudder goes. We'll do an abroad. I can't speak. An
Yeah.
abroad episode at some point.
We need Tough Mudder to come to Cyprus, then we can do one here.
Yeah, you haven't got you've not
Okay.
got a lot of mud there. Though. It's just sand.
This is very true. Okay, maybe we'll have to go somewhere else. I don't know. Let's cope with this one first.
Yeah,
Okay, so that was brilliant. Thanks, Ben. We will make sure that all the tags, all the people that we've talked about, Ben's ambassador code, everything will be in the description underneath the podcast. And when it goes up on YouTube, all the information will be there as well. But thank you so much for joining me. And I look forward to catching up with you again on here in 4 to 6 weeks, I say.
yeah. No, I look forward to it. It's going to be good fun. Right. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Ben.
No worries.
Okay. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. I really hope you enjoyed chatting with me and Ben, listening to what we've got to say. If you do have any questions, please reach out to either of us on Instagram. So I'm Kim's Wellness Space. Ben is at Ben Gets Fit. I will make sure that his ambassador code is underneath the descriptions in case you're wanting to take advantage of that and book your Tough Mudder. But if not, come back and listen to the next podcast. And the next one will just be me. But in 4 to 6 weeks, I will pop in and talk with Ben again, and we'll catch up again. And the closer we get to my Tough Mudder event, the more we'll find out about what it is exactly that I've signed up for. So thanks so much for listening, and I will speak to you all again very soon.